The In This League Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Week 6 hot seat. It's a hot one. It's a pretty one. It's a beautiful one. It's our boy, Dan Harris from Fantasy Pros. Dan Harris 80. I like to pretend that Dan Harris is a closeted Jerry Rice fan. Like, I'm not closeted. I'm very out and open about it. He's my idol. He's my number one. Someday I'll get his attention and we'll get to talk, and then I'll just retire from everything. I like to pretend that the 80 in Dan Harris is for him, but I'm going to assume it's probably just the year you were born. Right, Dan?
It's true. I was born in 1880. But I feel like I look pretty solid for it. But
you
yes,
look pretty good.
It is. I am a big fan of Jerry Rice, though. Who isn't? So
yeah. Well, I mean, the people that say he's not the greatest player of all time, those would be the ones I would.
The people locked up in insane asylums, or other people.
Yeah. The people that are like, let me tell you about Randy Moss.
Yeah, the people that don't acknowledge that anyone existed before they were born.
Right. Exactly. Like Kyle Yates, I'm sure. Yes, exactly. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, well, boy. Wow. This
Shots fired.
How much I'm going to come back on there. What is Kyle's opinion on that? Like, I get, you can love Randy Moss and you can think he's the most physically gifted wide receiver of all time, and he's in that list, but he's not the great. Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver in every element. There's no argument, but people still do it. You can argue running backs. You can do the quarterback argument all you want. You argue basketball. Guess what? Jerry Rice is the greatest athlete of all time, because here's what you can't do. You can't argue wide receiver. You can argue every other position in every sport on who the greatest in that position is. And you can't do that at wide receiver. Now, maybe I'm being a little bit verbose
Jim
about
Thorpe
it.
won like 7 gold medals.
I would say Wayne Gretzky, but it's still like positionally, Jerry Rice is one of the greatest athletes, not just football players of all time, because you cannot argue it. Dan.
I think most things are arguable. Most who is the greatest is arguable, but I agree with you. This is one that's off the table. I completely agree with you. There are a lot of things that you can debate. Not the greatest wide receiver of all time. It is Jerry Rice. There is no debate. Absolutely correct.
Bogman, what else can you debate? What else
are you gonna? Well, this is what I want to debate is your questions. Like John Gruden. What was the most offensive thing he said, and what was the least offensive thing?
Yeah, specifically,
you're ranking these, right?
Rank what you thought was
Week
most.
6 rank of most disgusting words.
Please use the words and then rank them.
What? I gotta go, guys.
Work emergency. See you later.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So today we're not going to rank them, and I'm gonna guess on the aggregate of Fantasy Pros, probably not going to be a rank of John Gruden's biggest missteps or anything like that. Not going to
rank a lot of stuff over at Fantasy Pros, but that ain't gonna be one.
Not going to be ranked. Not going to rank that. I did. By the way, I might have been one of the last people on the planet that knew he was fired. I didn't even realize. I was just doing stuff, and all of a sudden, like, it was in game. I was taking my kids to something.
Resigned. Yes, very good.
Yeah. A lot of people resigned.
Right off into the sunset.
But like, I was like, wait a minute, is he gone? And it's like, yeah, he's gone. He's super gone.
It escalated, by the way, very quickly. Not to belabor the.
Oh, please. We want your takes. We want your.
But
takes.
It escalated so quickly to the point it was like, oh, by the way, here's a few more emails than I saw.
He said this one thing, and people were kind of defending him, like, look, that's not the John Gruden I saw ever. And then they were like, how about these 15 more things? You know what? I don't know the guy that well. Now that you mentioned it, it's kind of like the thing in Avengers where.
Was it Mike Tirico being like, he's super great, and then you find out like all the words he used, and he's sharing naked pictures of cheerleaders, and Tirico's like, John who? John who? I don't know.
A good rule of thumb: if there's one, there's probably like 50, right? Like there's not that one email of using sort of a term that you don't want anybody to be using or anything like that. If there's one, there's a million of them. So just be careful before you rush out to defend anybody is my good rule of thumb.
Well, Bogman, what would your emails look like if we went back 7 years, 7, 8 years?
I don't think I was sending many emails, so.
No, actually, it's all ITL stuff. You know what? We're safe. Bogman and I just work all the time. Like, we might, it's funny. You might think there might be a lot of skeletons in the closet of ITL. Yeah. Probably less than most in the industry, because guess what we do? This is all we're ever doing is podcasting and doing fantasy sports. When I'm not podcasting, guess where I'm at? I'm on a backfield of a baseball field avoiding my family. And so, I mean, you're like, what else am I supposed to do? That's all that we do. But Oh, go ahead,
Good.
Dan. What do
I'm just saying I'm very lucky enough that I don't really know how to work email anyway, so I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. Once we lost AIM Messenger, what else could we do? We couldn't do anything anymore. He is Dan Harris over at Fantasy Pros, one of our favorite people on the planet. Bogman gets a lot of his time. I get none of it, so this is very exciting for me to be able to hang out with Dan. Dan, Mr. Joe Pisapia has been doing a decent job. He's been all right. He's been pretty good, right?
He's fine. Whatever.
He's fine. He's doing good.
He's doing.
Yeah, he's doing. We're proud of some of his takes.
He's reaching down the barrel for guests because he just had me on this week. So
were you on this week?
I was, yeah.
Yeah,
on the waiver wire show. It was me, Yates, and Joey. So
I listened to that on the ride up today. It was glorious. Kids loved it, Boggs. You know, you're their, they're your biggest fans.
Bogman's pretty big with the kids. He came over. I tell you, not anyone cares, but when he was leaving for Texas, he came over. We were I think we just had my kid's birthday, and he comes over and he just drops $100 in PlayStation gift cards on my son's lap. He's like, "What's up, little dude?" Boom, and my kid's
Happy
like,
birthday.
"Wait, what?" He's like, "What?"
Oh,
Like Bogman
man.
comes in hot with, so he gets ingratiated. But yeah, he does the whole thing. But Dan, it is good to see you. It's good to talk with you. We're going to be talking football. By the way, I like when I'm on Fantasy Pros because I feel like me and Kyle are kind of we tend to be in the same general range, so we can pick on Joe a little bit. And I don't enjoy much more than when I get somebody with me to kind of pick on Joe. It's one of my top 3 favorite things on the planet.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll do it myself. Like we did a baseball show every day this year, and like it's like 90% of me just sort of insulting him and stuff like that. But when you get another one to sort of bounce things off of, there's nothing.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But we're not just here to talk about John Gruden's comments and Joe Pisapia. We're here to talk about Week 6. We're going to be going through our top plays of the week with Mr. Dan Harris. And Boggs, we keep forgetting to check. If I remember correctly, Boggs, you might have had one of the greatest pick weeks last week where it's kind of an open scale of how we do it. There's not like a perfect science to it. It doesn't Fantasy Pros. It doesn't have full numbers attached. But did it meet the qualifications of like, hey, this guy was a sleeper, blah, blah, blah. Our guy who does our stats, I think you hit every single one but one last week.
Really?
Yeah, I think
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, we get our stat sheet update. I could be giving you a little bit too much.
I mean, you were giving me a real hard time about putting Leonard Fournette up there. So you're like, after one big game, Bogman, you're really going to go back to this well? So
wait till wait till about 15 minutes from now when we start talking. Let's see where
I know, because I was going to change mine to what you have.
Who do I have? Don't ruin who I have. But Dan, let's talk about.
Figure it out.
Yeah, maybe. Let's talk about a few things before we get to our top plays here, and people can judge us and mock us openly on the internet as they would choose. Saquon Barkley. Saquon avoided, it seems, a serious ankle injury. Is Saquon a buy low right now, or are you avoiding at all costs? I think there's going to be, as people are listening to this, some decent money spent on Devontae Booker. There's also going to be some Darrell Williams buyers. It's a fantastic fab week, one of the best fab weeks. It's why you don't just spend it in week 3 and 4 when there's nothing to have it. You spend it for a week like this where, holy crap, there's 6 or 7 options. But outside of the obvious point of like you can start Booker and stuff like that, what do you think about Saquon? And what do you think about buying on him right now?
I think I'd do it. I think I'd buy low. First of all, I mean, the injury is just, it's such a fluky thing, right? Like I know we're upset because obviously, he missed last year and then he was slow to come back. He looked really good to me when I was watching him. He looked like he was finally turning the corner, ready to fully come back. And then you have the weird fluky injury where you step on the dude's foot and your ankle turns. Like we've probably all done that. And again, because he avoided the injury, this does not sound like something that lingers the whole season. Like he's obviously not going to play this week. My guess is he'll probably get another week off or something like that.
I agree.
But after that, there's really no reason to think he's going to be limited. And if he is at full strength, I mean, he was basically creeping up into my top 6 running backs rest of season. So if you can afford to wait a couple of weeks and you can get by for now, I would buy low. And I think there are going to be people out there who have him on their rosters who are going to be done, right? They're going to be like, come on, man. Come on. Like I was willing to wait it out at the beginning. He comes back immediately. He gets hurt with this. He's always hurt. Just let me get rid of him. I think I'd try to see what I could get. Sure.
Yeah, the Bogman, our home league, I've got Saquon. Actually, our home league is it's incredible. Name someone who got hurt this week. I got him. I have him.
All right.
Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley. I don't even remember who the other person was.
Daniel Jones. Do you have all the Giants?
Maybe I might have all. Yeah, that's why I'm not doing so great. But
Juju.
I had
Edwards-Helaire?
Juju. Yes, Juju. Juju's the other one that I have. I didn't have Edwards-Helaire, but I had Juju, Kenny Galladay, and Saquon Barkley. So things are going great.
Way to
you
be.
can tell. Yeah, way to be. It's a struggle. It's a struggle, and I think I'm 3-2 in that league, and I don't have a lot of. I'd consider move. So here's what I want to present.
Would
to you.
you?
I would. Do you have a running back that you might? But see,
I might.
let's play the game here. Because if I'm only buying 2 weeks, I'm not selling too low, but I'd think about it for some wins. But I want to present to you guys what side you would take, assuming Saquon Barkley is out for 2 weeks and you are going to pick up this player. Would you accept Saquon Barkley for, let me start low here. How about Josh Jacobs? Start with you, Dan.
This is great, guys. This is fantastic because I do our trade chart here at Fantasy Pros, which I will be doing tonight.
Ooh.
And what powers that for me are my rest of season rankings, which I have updated as of an hour ago.
Oh,
I have them up right here. So I can tell you where I have them. I have Saquon Barkley currently, currently ahead of Josh Jacobs. So I would not make the trade of Josh Jacobs.
and
I have
Bogman
an
is
interesting
saying-
question. I have a more interesting question.
Yeah,
what would
why
the
am I not
Welsh do?
interesting?
Hold on. I'm asking you. That's why you're more interesting. Would
I
you
am
rather
more
have
interesting.
Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley?
Saquon Barkley.
Okay, it's more interesting because I have Josh Jacobs
Oh,
in
no,
the
I
home
could
league.
tell that was coming. No. I knew I was about to get got.
I mean, Josh Jacobs, very clearly.
Yeah, no.
Josh
I
Jacobs.
knew what was coming. Bogman's like, hey, would you take Josh Jacobs for Saquon? He would trade instant. I would take Saquon on 2 weeks. I did
I'm
say,
trying to hustle. I'm just trying to find out.
And that's what I'm
we're standing.
assuming, by the way, 2 weeks when I'm evaluating.
right. And that's how we're talking about it. Okay, so let's move up a little bit here. Would you move Joe Mixon? Or would you, how am I trying to say this?
I'd rather have
I guess either way.
Saquon than
Which
Joe
side would you want? Saquon or Joe Mixon?
I have Saquon Barkley one spot ahead of Joe Mixon rest of the season, so I would take Saquon Barkley, but that's close for me.
All right, I've got 2 others. This one might be off, but let's just try it anyways. Darrell Henderson.
Darrell Henderson I would accept instead of Saquon Barkley. I am optimistic on what we're going to see from Henderson rest of season.
Bogman's going to say no.
Look, that's close. Because Darrell Henderson has been
close. That's interesting.
He's been so much better than I kind of expected him to be. He really has taken that next step, and it has kind of all not necessarily come out of nowhere, but it's surprising because he struggled so much in this offense before, and he's been so good. So that one's real close. I'm going to take Barkley. Just everybody knows that. But
so I'm
it's very
surprised.
close.
So you sound down on Henderson going
Well,
forward.
I was going into the season. I was not really interested in Darrell Henderson just because he hadn't worked out in McVay's offense really well. But he's been so much better than I expected him to be. But if it's 2 weeks of Saquon and he's back, and that's what we expect it to be right now, I'm fine. And this isn't like for Saquon, this is a freak injury, like you said. It's not like he's got a tissue issue going on, or he kind of pulled a hammy here or something.
Right.
It's not something that you can't physically tell what it is. I mean, his ankle looked like a baseball. That's the only reason he wasn't on the field. So I think he's I think the injury stuff with him is a little bit overblown, but I tell you what, if there's one more little nick or bruise after this nonsense, everyone's going to be off, and I'll be backing off as well. So it's frustrating, but I think I'm going to go Saquon there.
So I don't want to belabor it all. Just with Henderson, one of the reasons, and I do look at this a lot with my rest of season rankings, like you look at his upcoming schedule, all right? They have the Giants. Obviously, they're playing each other this weekend. Then Detroit, then Houston. Like, it's going to be a couple of big games here for Henderson. That's going to really tide you over. And then, by the way, Barkley has a bye in a few weeks. So you're going to miss him for a couple of weeks. Maybe he'll come back for a week, then a bye. Not giving him away. That's why I think I'm a little more optimistic on him.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think one of the things that sits out there is your willingness to let go of the value on Saquon Barkley. Like at the end of the day,
have to reach lower.
Yeah, at the end of the day, do I think Barkley let's just call it starting in week 8. Do I think Barkley is going to score that many more points than Darrell Henderson? I'm not so sure at this point, especially with the injury. But am I willing to do it? I think I still slightly lean Barkley, but I think that one's close. All right, two more, and I think they're in 2 different lanes here. Kareem Hunt. It's dicey, but he has been super consistent across the board, and he's got a great matchup this week, but he's got Chubb in front of him.
Yeah, it pains me to do this because I have faded Kareem Hunt all year, but I actually have Kareem Hunt higher in my rest of season rankings. It just really seems like their rushing attack right now is gorgeous, and Hunt is getting goal line work with this. So I do have him a couple spots ahead of Barkley right now. Yes, I would take them.
I like that. Bogman, you'll take Barkley easy, right?
You're
Yeah,
taking Barkley
I'm
for
taking
sure,
Barkley.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean,
I get it.
It's real close. I have Hunt everywhere. I own, or
you?
I have rostered Hunt more than I have Barkley on most of my rosters. But for me, it's I can't pass up Saquon.
All right, last one.
I can't.
This is a bigger name. Antonio Gibson. Gibson. I think there's a lot internally in there. Yeah, not had the. I mean, I thought he. I said it on Fantasy Pros with Kyle and everybody, and Kyle agreed with me. I thought he was going to be a decent middle end running back one this year. He's getting when he gets the carries, he's not doing much with it. He's getting banged up and nicked up a little bit. It's just not there. He's fine. He's doing good. He's maybe a low end serviceable RB1 to a high end RB2. But is it enough that you give up on Saquon Barkley, Dan?
It is for me, barely, but you're in the range, by the way, right? It's like you're looking at my rankings, obviously. You've got basically every.
But they're not posted yet.
That's
but I
true.
have magical
no,
powers.
they are. I have rest of season. I just posted them. You can go.
Whoops! Let me change that. That's not all right. Yeah.
They're within like those guys are all within 5. So either way you go is totally fine with me. I would go with Gibson. I'm a little worried because apparently the shin thing is a stress fracture or whatever, and it's minor. He's playing through it. He played great. But I still have him slightly ahead right now of Saquon, so I would make that swap.
Did we do it, Bogman? Did we get there or no?
No. But I do have one that I'm interested for both of you.
Yes.
Dan, James Robinson.
James Robinson is an easy one I would accept. Yeah.
Easy one? Okay.
Easy one. That's actually the highest guy you've mentioned so far.
Well, James Robinson, yeah, for me, because that's the line. I would take Robinson over Barkley.
I think I would too.
I just wasn't sure that was the consensus.
Yeah.
Bogman,
I have Robinson 11th.
Would you move Jacobs and Hunt for Saquon Barkley?
No, I would not.
Oh, you wouldn't? Okay, just check. No specific reason. Just checking exactly where you were. All right, Bogman, I pass off to you here.
I want to do a lightning round of just, Dan, are you in or out on these guys? Because they've been frustrating this year, but they put up some games and then come back down to earth. So if either you can either trade them if they're on your team, or you can trade for them. Either way in your head, you want to work it out. But the first one is Myles Gaskin. I mean, he's been super frustrating. They've completely abandoned the run game, some games in Miami, but he had 10 catches this week and seems to be getting most of the snaps. So what are you doing with him?
Yeah, did a lot of good for everybody who had them firmly on their bench. I'm not trusting this going forward. There are weeks that I might trust.
So you're out?
I'm out.
Yeah.
Out.
Sorry, just in out. That's it. No talking.
No. I want to do my awesome little graphic. Look at that hardcore graphic.
Oh my God,
Ooh,
amazing!
All right.
Well, look at the team that we have working on these graphics.
It's incredible. You guys are pros.
Hey guys, get the end ready. All right.
I'm out on Myles Gaskin. I could see starting him occasionally once in a while, but I do not buy a rest of season. So
Marvin Jones, a guy that Welsh and I both like going into the season, thought he's going to be a PPR monster, been garbage the last couple weeks.
This sucks. Because I like him. I'm gonna say still in. I'm waiting for the graphic. In.
Oh Lord, look at that graphic.
I'm gonna go in. Not as in as I was a few weeks ago. I don't get what's going on where DJ Chark's gone. Suddenly he doesn't get targeted. But again, there aren't that many options there. I imagine there could be a new coaching staff.
I don't understand. We don't get about having to make targets for Jamal Agnew and Dan Arnold.
This is really, and I rank, by the way, we have like our rankings against consensus. I don't think there's been a single week where I haven't been higher than consensus on Marvin Jones, because every week I'm like, Marvin Jones week coming up.
Here it is.
Here we go. That's like everyone with Allen Robinson. By the way, if Matt Nagy gets fired and like, do you think he's gonna look and be like, yo guys, I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't rub on any women. Why am I being fired?
And that's how bad you are. And that's how bad you are. You're still getting fired, right? For normal reasons.
You're worse than the personal conduct policy. That's
I was thinking how many people had Urban Meyer getting fired first tickets,
100%,
and John Gruden goes first, not really fired.
All right, I got the graphic ready.
Tyler Boyd.
It's like
that's the noise that I want to hear before each one of these names.
It's correct. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's weird, right? Like I'm gonna say in. Okay, I'm gonna say in. But in is like, I don't know what that means. Because for me, it's like wide receiver 37 rest of season. Like a guy who I'll still buy as a wide receiver 3. His targets are inconsistent, but there's going to be enough volume in that offense, I think, to sustain him most weeks. When you're at like the borderline wide receiver 3, it's all gross. So I'm in. I'm in. So.
I mean, Welsh made a proper graphic here. Kind of in, but maybe out.
Oh, I like it.
That's the new graphic. Yeah.
All right.
Look, so when you say in, I think the scenario for me is maybe you start him as a flex on bye weeks moving forward.
I said this in the last show, Boggs.
Like I think part of a trade.
I think he's inconsistent. I don't think he's trustworthy. I think pending the depth that you have on your team, you could throw him out here, but he is not the number 1 option. That's Jamar Chase, and it'll be every single week. I don't think he's the number 2 option. I think it's T. Higgins who gets it. And guess what? Number 3 is still going to be Joe Mixon. They like Uzoma out there. I just think Tyler Boyd is fine. He'll have weeks, but all you're doing is you're chasing yourself. You're chasing the weeks with Tyler Boyd.
There's one football.
Yeah.
And can't get it every week. Adam Thielen, 2 bad weeks in a row. Most of his production last year was off of touchdowns.
Yeah.
Most of it this year has been off of touchdowns. Are we kind of out on Adam Thielen as a whole?
So there you go, Bob.
Yeah.
All right. So am I starting Adam Thielen still? Yes. So if that means I'm in, but he has gone from like a borderline wide receiver 1, right? Like I kind of was like, oh gosh, okay, maybe we're not touchdown dependent anymore. Maybe we're just going to receiver to wide receiver 29 in my rest of season ranking. So for me, that's like from where I was and out, but I'm still starting him. So kind of in, but kind of out.
Yeah, I understand.
Kind of in, but maybe out.
Maybe out, yeah.
Damian Harris.
I'm still in. I get that he has the injury concerns and everything like that. I hope the dude stops fumbling at critical junctures in games. But for the most part, when you've seen these, positive game scripts, or at least not really negative game scripts, he's got, 53 carries over those 4 games. So I think they still pound the rock. I'm still in on Damian Harris.
I'll do one more. Cole Beasley. Because Beasley had some monster weeks early. Yep. And he's been kind of usurped by Manny Sanders, Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, really the guy doing more damage than him.
Yeah, Dawson for sure.
Yeah, well, put up the biggest out you can get, whatever you've got. Totally out, completely out. His snaps are down. Like he's being phased out of this offense completely with Dawson Knox, with Emmanuel Sanders. No interest in Cole Beasley anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Boggs, I'm going to move past the tight end one unless there was something dramatic you wanted to do.
No, it's kind of the same deal.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the same thing. It was a very good game, very high-end graphics, and thank you very much, Dan, for playing the in or out game. You passed. You did a great job. You really did a very good job. Now, it is time we jump into our week 6 plays. I actually just got an email from our board person. I wonder if they have the plays. They do. I don't think it's. Oh, wait, no, it is on here. So actually, this is the updated Boggs. Last week, it literally was updated 5 seconds ago. It was the week before. I
just got it too.
The week before, you only missed 1 on your picks. This past week, which is good. Which again, it's a little subjective, which it's fine. Everyone can deal with subjective because this is about the game that we play here is just picking top quarterback, which has to be a top-ish quarterback, a sleeper guy. They have to be scoring decently well. So it's a little subjective. Michael Beller did not do so well last week. He missed all but 2. He hit Mike Davis and Michael Carter, so his running backs were good, but he had Kyler Murray and Justin Fields as his quarterbacks. Didn't work. Allen Robinson, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel. Whew, that was rough. You hit Matt Ryan as your sleeper, Fournette as your RB1, Zach Moss as your RB2, Jamar Chase is your wide receiver 1, and Laviska is your wide receiver 2. Very nice.
I mean, that's on one Laviska catch, by the way.
Yeah. You missed Kyler. Kenneth Gainwell is your sleeper running back. Kyler, you had at number 1, and your sleeper wide receiver. But Bogman, would you believe this? There was someone better, and it was me. I only missed 2 this week. I had Josh Allen as my top quarterback. I had Daniel Jones as my sleeper. He got hurt. Yeah. My running backs nailed them all. Darrell Henderson as my surprise RB1. Patterson as my surprise RB2, and Michael Carter as my sleeper. I missed Marvin Jones as my wide receiver 2. Of course, I missed that. Terrible, horrible pick. But I did have Cortland Sutton as my surprise wide receiver 1, and I had Henry Ruggs as a sleeper. So those were the results of last week where we jumped in there. Pretty good.
Not bad.
And not bad. So let's play into it. It's pretty easy. The easiest of easy that we do here is starting with the quarterback number 1. And we always start with Bogman. That gives the guest time to kind of get a feel for the game here. And this is just picking your top quarterback for the week. None of them are as easy, but Boggs, you didn't get it last week. You had Kyler Murray.
No, coming off a bad week too here, but I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes because what I have seen from Washington's defense is disgusting, specifically in the secondary. I think they're pissed, and they're going to absolutely torch Washington this week. So give me Patty Mahomes.
You know, I hate going back to back on guys.
No, you phrasing. And no, you don't, because Josh Allen has been amazing.
I do hate doing it, but, Derrick Henry has worked out with that, and Josh Allen has worked with that. I'm going back to the well on Josh Allen, regardless of where anyone's got him ranked this week. He's my top guy versus Tennessee. Tennessee's defense has been all right. 21st in passing yards given up on the year. Wide receivers are getting points. Josh Allen gets it done. I don't even hate a 4-touchdown day again. I think a rushing and 3 passing is in line. I can't do Dawson Knox again. We can't keep doing that. But whether it's Sanders or Diggs, Josh Allen finds a way to get it done. He's a guaranteed 2-touchdown monster every single week, whether it's 1 in the air and 1 on the ground. I think he's going to do more against Tennessee's defense. Oh. So give me Josh Allen as my top quarterback this week. Dan, you can pick either of the two we have because it's a small pool to choose from. But who you got on top QB of the week?
Yeah, I was wondering. Do you want? Because I can pick somebody else. I can
this
go with,
one you can pick the same. The others we try not to.
That's really not that fun. I will say that most likely when my rankings are finalized, that Josh Allen will probably be number 1, but I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to go with the guy who I will probably have as number 2, which will not be Patrick Mahomes. It'll probably be Lamar Jackson. And the reason is this, obviously what we saw on Monday night was insane or anything like that. I expect the Chargers to put up a ton of points in this game. The defense has to be totally exhausted for Baltimore, and they're coming off a short week, and the Chargers offense is just awesome. So I think they're going to be able to put up points anyway. That's going to require Baltimore to put up points, and the Chargers, the one thing they can do better than the other thing is to stop the pass a little bit. So whether or not Lamar Jackson can get it going through the air, I think he, and not whichever poo-poo platter running back they're going to throw out there at this point, because they really seem to have no interest in actually establishing a ground game. I think there's going to be a lot of scrambling. I think he's probably going to find the end zone himself. That'll be a prop I'll probably play this week. And I think Lamar Jackson has another monstrous game here. So he'll be my pick for QB1.
Where do you have Lamar on your rest of the season?
That's a great question, Bogman. Give me 1 second to pull up my quarterback.
Well, while you do that, everybody know in the ITL rooms, everyone knows I'm doing a weekly prop bet sheet I do every week, and Bogman, maybe I mentioned it once or twice at the beginning of the show. I was 12-3 this past week on my props. I'll never have a better week. I was a monster this week. Doctor. And I also threw in a little extra. Little like 4-team parlay just for some funsies on Monday night, and had Lamar just not fallen on his face and fumbled every single time and just got 1 rushing touchdown, we'd have been in cash money plus a couple others. But yeah, I'm with you. Lamar rushing prop this coming week, I am in. All right, so what do you got rest of season?
He's 4th for me, but the difference between Mahomes 1, Murray 2, Allen 3, and Lamar Jackson 4 is just not a ton. So when I do a trade chart again, they're like, it's like, here's the rankings, but also, by the way, you can value them pretty identically in a trade.
Well, you are going to get Mr. Dan Harris. You are going to get the next pick up as we snake draft this. And when you know it, we always like to, and we promote you guys every single time, no even cash incentive on it because we're just those type of guys that we kind of use Fantasy Pros as the backer since it's an aggregate system of everybody to say your sleeper quarterback 1 for this week. So your surprise quarterback 1 for this week, who is not a normal quarterback 1 that you would typically do. It doesn't mean that Fantasy Pros can't have him ranked in that range, but someone that is not typically a quarterback 1 that you think is going to perform at a high level. And since we snake around, Dan, you get to be the first.
Nice. I'll go with Taylor Heineke because he's probably not going to be ranked as a quarterback 1, but he might perform like a quarterback 1 this week. Again, he wasn't good, against the Saints, but multiple touchdowns in the 3 previous games, and the total's nuts here against the Chiefs, right? I mean, they're all going to put up points. They're going to need a ton of points. The Chiefs defense is abysmal. They allow the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. And they basically average allowing 300 yards passing to opposing quarterbacks. So I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Heineke's going to go nuts. He's my sleeper QB1 this week.
The Daniel Sorensen memes were incredible this week.
Those are pretty good. Yeah, I saw Ghetto Gronk posting those on Instagram. That was I think you had even shared one with me, so I was like, I can't share the rest of the box. You already saw them. Number 13, I think Heineke is on Fantasy Pros. Mine actually is someone that slipped into the top 12. I did not realize it, but he is not a typical QB1. I'm going to go with Mr. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow versus the Detroit Lions. And Joe Burrow has his target in Jamar Chase. Big flies. He can pass the ball all he wants, and Detroit has been giving up plenty of that. And here's an interesting one. Did you know that Detroit has been giving up 222 yards when they're on the road passing, but over 291 at home? So they give up the passing yards at home, and it is in Detroit. So give me Joe Burrow. Give me Jamar Chase here in a little bit. Yes, Joe Burrow is my sleeper QB1 for the week. Boggs?
I mean, the question really is how are the Lions going to lose this game at the last second?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just heartbreaking for Detroit.
Well, we know how the Bengals will do it if they do. It'll be by a missed field goal.
Oh, God. We can't go through more missed field goals. I'm sick of them. For me, it's Mac Jones. I just think game script, right?
Wow.
We saw what the Patriots did when they got down against Tampa Bay, completely abandoned the run, and Mac Jones threw the ball 50 times. I think we see a lot of that again against Dallas. They should be getting their asses kicked, and Mac Jones is going to have to play from behind and pass a ton. So I'm going to have Mac Jones as a surprise QB1 this week.
We now move to the running backs, and we snake around. Bogman gets to be the first here, because we're not going to spend that much time on quarterbacks, with your surprise RB. So we're no more like, hey, who's the top guy? It's all surprises here. It's like birthday time. It is surprise running back 1 for the week. So a guy that doesn't typically jump into that. Bogman, who do you have?
Well, I had James Robinson earlier today, but I went and looked, and James Robinson was at 8, which I think might be the first week that he's been a RB1 this year, or at least he's been well into the RB1s. He's been borderline a couple times, but can't do that. So I looked, and I hate all these guys down here. It's
a rough list.
Yeah, it's a rough list at RB2 this week. So I'm going to reach down like I did last week with Leonard Fournette. I'm going to go with Javonte Williams against Las Vegas. Vegas looks rattled. They look rough. And Javonte Williams is the best running back in Denver. They have to give him the ball more. I understand he's had some problems with pass protection. It's fine. Melvin Gordon out on third downs. But they should get up on Vegas, I think. And I think they'll be running the ball in the second half. So I like Javonte Williams for this week.
Well, Bogman alluded to this earlier. I went through the list, didn't like a lot. One name kept popping up to me, and I mean, maybe this is the beginning of the end, and I'll be the
this is the
stage
happiest
setter here.
I've been on this show the whole year.
That's great. I mean, I'm glad I could bring happiness.
You do.
I'm going to go with my surprise RB1 is Leonard Fournette. Ooh. Yes, that's right. Leonard Fournette has averaged 19.5 touches over the last 2 games. He's eclipsed 110 yards or more in each of the last 2 games.
Get him.
He's averaging 5 yards per rush over the last 2 games.
Get him.
Get him. And Philly is giving up the 6th most fantasy points to running backs. Leonard Fournette's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. You got to pick him. Got to do it. Sorry.
I was going through and I saw James Robinson. I'm like, well, I'll just go Fournette. And I get back to the sheet and
nope.
Oh, God.
Took him. There wasn't a big list. Leonard Fournette. I hate to do it. Ronald Jones. He sucks. I do worry about. I took the Leonard Fournette receiving prop this past week, and it paid. I think it paid off. Or you know what? No, I think I may have taken it for this week. One of my early bets. That's 100% what I did. There's a free bet. I took the Leonard Fournette receiving prop, which I kind of wish I would have just taken the total yards prop, but I did take the receiving prop. Bernard worries me a little bit in how Brady can get. But 19.5 touches for Fournette in the last 2 games. Why is that going to change during against Philly? It's just not. And when Tampa Bay gets up, they're going to run the ball with Fournette. If they get up really big, all right, they might go to Ronald Jones. But give me Fournette as my top guy. Dan, it's on you. Sleeper RB1 for this week.
Really good picks, boys. I'm very impressed with both of you. Not Bogman, but you. Wells, I'm kidding. I will go with I'll go with Zach Moss, who is ranked, I'm looking at 21st, right, in Fantasy Pros ECR. He has just overtaken the backfield, like 42 snaps to Singletary's 15 or whatever it was here against the Chiefs. They were using him. The game was over, right? They're just running out the clock. They're like, okay, give it to Singletary. And they're like, no, Zach Moss is our dude right now. He gets to work near the goal line. He's scoring touchdowns. The Titans are 24th in defensive DVOA against the run. Now, they haven't given up a ton of fantasy production to opposing running backs, but you just saw James Robinson run all over them. I think that's more of a product of the guys they've been playing and just the game scripts they've been in, generally speaking. He's also running routes a lot. Like, this is something where you don't think of Zach Moss as the pass-catching guy, right? You kind of think of Singletary, but he's running routes on like half his snaps at this point. He's just eminently involved in the game. Could be huge for him here. I will go with Zach Moss as my sleeper RB1.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. Moss has been a staple on this show, and I still don't understand we got to give the early touches to Singletary when they know they're just going to give it up. It's silly. Give Zach Moss all the run, please, and continue.
They just need to sign Alexander Madison next year.
Yeah, we'll trade for Marlon Mack this week or something. All right, so we get to flip around. Mr. Dan Harris gets to start with the surprise RB2 for the week. So this is maybe a flex running back or maybe a little bit deeper, but your surprise RB2 for the week. Dan, your face says, I got someone good.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Actually, I'm annoyed that this one comes back to me first because I feel like I've probably got a guy that neither one of you was picking, although I could be wrong. Of course, it's J.D. Mckissick for me. He's still playing plenty of snaps. He's running a route on pretty much every time he's in there. Got 6 touches. I realize, we really don't want him more involved. We just want Antonio Gibson. But in this one, I think we talked about it. The game script is going to favor basically them playing from behind, them needing to pass a lot. That's still a lot of Mckissick. We saw Austin Eckler, 6 catches against them. Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders combined for 9. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt combined for 5. It's just with the script and how weak the Chiefs defense is. I think Mckissick gets involved here. If he can find the end zone, then he really has an easy chance of getting in here. So I'll go with Mckissick as my surprise RB2.
I like that. I don't feel great because, again, this list just really tapers off here. But I am going to go with a surprise RB2 that is going to pick back off of last week. And that's always a little bit dicey. But are we back into the Myles Gaskin territory? We might be. I know Dan says he doesn't quite like it. But if you don't count week 4, Myles Gaskin has had at least 5 targets in the passing game. If you don't count week 3 and 4, just cherry picking here a little bit, in the passing game alone, he would be averaging at least 6 points in the passing game.
Don't count weeks 3 and 4.
If you don't count weeks, if you count 1, 2, and 5, 1, 2, and 5, he's been in there. We're trying to build a narrative here, Bogman. Jacoby Brissett has been a little bit struggle bus, but here's the other big reason behind it. Jacksonville gives up the 8th most fantasy points to running backs. And Gaskin reestablished himself in the passing game. He can still establish in the running game. I think Miami can see a little bit more effectiveness against Jacksonville. And guess what? If they're not, and Jacksonville does get up because Marvin Jones caught an 80-yard touchdown and Dan are high-fiving over the internet, then they're going to be passing the ball to Myles Gaskin. So this is kind of like a J.D. McKissick play. It is. But it's just against the Miami Dolphins defense, and Gaskin just came off of 10 catches and 2 touchdowns. He's a red zone option. They want to pass him the ball. It's not sexy, but we're going to go with some momentum. Surprise RB2, Myles Gaskin. To you, sir.
Devontae Booker for me. I definitely don't like Devontae Booker as a player that much, but he's going to get all of the run with Saquon out. We saw this is how the Cardinals beat the Rams, by running on them. That way you're also not hanging your quarterback out to dry, Seattle, if you run on the Rams, and they be giving up some rushing yards. So I don't think it's going to be sexy, but I think specifically if Danny Dimes is out as well, you got to run that ball. You got to at least, even if you're running into the teeth, you got to give it to him a bunch of times. Maybe he breaks one. Maybe he scores. So give me Devontae Booker against the Rams.
All right. So this is now you're just pure sleep.
And Welsh is gone.
Oh my gosh.
He just,
he
I
left
think
dramatically too, right? He was like, "You're pure sleeper out."
Yeah, you're a sleeper. And he's like, "Is it me? Because I'm out." And he's back in. There we go.
Oh,
I clicked the wrong damn tab. Dang it.
I figured that's what it was because
I said, "Your sleeper." Boom. All right.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Damn it. All right. Your sleeper running back, someone deep, someone that's not startable. You don't really put him in even at flex. Bogman, how low can you go?
Jerick McKinnon. I'm going to go to Jerick McKinnon because I think what Dan said and what we've all said about this game script is Kansas City gets up, Washington has to play from behind. Both the defenses are bad. But if you're Kansas City, you want to run the ball. And we saw Khalil Herbert get a ton of run last week as the second guy in Chicago when they got up. I think this is what we're going to see in Kansas City as well, is the ball given to the running backs a lot. Obviously prefer Darrell Williams, but since McKinnon is the second guy there, we'll give him a little bit of love here too.
I am going to go against the Miles Sanders train, as I have been talking about, and I'm going to go to Kenny Gainwell. And I got a couple little statty stats for you guys on Kenny Gainwell.
I like statty stats.
Statty stats, that's what I bring. Not stats, but statty stats. Miles Sanders, though he did get his 5 catches in the last start, he is not a force in the passing game where Kenneth Gainwell has been so. So check this out. Tampa Bay is actually not giving up a ton of points to fantasy running backs. They're actually in the top 10 of not giving up points. That's not an actual word, but the 10th least points given up to running backs. But check this out. Check this out. They are giving up the most receptions to running backs. Tampa Bay is. The most receptions, 42 receptions to running backs. Not a team has given up more. They are giving up the 3rd most touchdowns, receiving touchdowns to running backs as well, and the 3rd most targets to running backs is via Tampa Bay. That's a lot of receiving running back info that's out there, and Kenny Gainwell is kind of their guy that they like to do. So guess what? We go sleeper, we go against Tampa Bay's defense, and we go Kenny Gainwell.
Welsh all over the Thursday nighter.
I love it. That's right.
Oh, I
We'll
forgot.
know
I did
early.
pick the Thursday.
We'll
Yeah, I
know
forgot.
early.
Yeah, whoops. We'll find out. Dan, it's on you. Sorry.
All right. I just want
Bad transition. No,
I
I
don't
just
like this
I
out.
Way to
forgot I did
host.
Thursday, and usually we
Yeah.
don't do Thursday, and I was like, I did do Thursday, but you know what? I
Yeah,
love
but
Kenny
this
Gainwell
comes
so
out
much.
before Thursday, so we're
Yeah,
fine.
screw it, listeners.
fine.
Suck it. What are you talking about? All right, Dan, it's on you.
I will go with Sony Michel. And I know that he got against the Giants. I know that he got the bulk of his carries and work when Henderson was out briefly with the elbow injury or whatever. But he did still score the touchdown when Henderson was back and healthy. And then you listen to Sean McVay talk after the game, and he said, oh, this is kind of what we envisioned, by the way, when we traded for Michel. We envisioned this being a 1A and a 1B. And I mean, we talked earlier, I'm still high on Darrell Henderson. I don't think Michel is coming for his job or anything like that. But they're 10.5 point favorites right now. That's going to be a positive game script. There's going to be a lot of running, especially late in the game. When the game is salted away, I could see them resting Henderson in particular, leaning on Michel, seeing him find the end zone. So that'll be my guys ranked 44th in Fantasy Pros consensus.
I like
ECR.
that. Let's move over to wide receivers, and Dan, you get to be the number one stunner for wideouts. Your surprise wide receiver 1 for week 6. So not a typical wide receiver 1. Just don't take my guy.
I'm excited. Okay, I won't.
Don't take
I
mine,
don't know
please.
who your guy is. I might take your guy. I have no idea. I'm taking Chase Claypool. I don't know. If
Damn it!
Ah,
Damn
you
it,
got
man.
Bogman. Yes.
What's
Suck
funny
it,
is I
Bogman.
thought Bogman would be so excited because I was like, I'm taking the Steeler, Bogman. We're taking
Suck
the
it.
Steeler.
Because I was going to take him.
That's
All
love
right,
it.
my
That's
bad.
Sorry,
Great
Dan
call.
owns him. Dan owns him.
Great call.
Say-
man.
The best call, obviously, of everyone. I mean,
Clearly.
look, we know we've got no Juju anymore. He's been involved the last 2 games. Obviously, he was out one of the games, but he's been involved. 21 targets, 226 yards, 14 catches. Seattle's allowed the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers. They are 28th in defensive DVOA against the pass, and they're a little better against the run. And you kind of feel like their spirit might be broken right now with the fact that Russell Wilson's out and everything like that. So I like what I saw this weekend. I'm going with Chase Claypool, the obvious pick, Bogman, the obvious pick.
The
for wide receiver
obvious pick. Bogman, I've talked about this guy earlier, and I do have a tendency to do this, but I think the pairings make sense. My surprise wide receiver 1 this week, and I didn't even look on Fantasy Pros to see. I don't think he's there, but he's probably getting close. Okay, this isn't maybe the greatest because he is in there, but I'm gonna go with Jamar Chase. Maybe Jamar Chase is borderlining on that. I do notice he's in there.
Well, over
he's
here
at-
cheating.
Devontae
He's like-
Adams.
He's like, I'm
You
going
could
to take
take
Joe
Devontae
Burrow and Jamar
Adams.
Chase.
Why
And
not?
they're both 1s already.
I mean, I didn't say Devontae Adams. I just didn't realize Jamar. I think he moved up a little bit. But okay, to my points though, Jamar Chase 19 targets in the last 2 games. We got Detroit this week, and if you check out on PFF, he has got the 6th best cornerback wide receiver matchup on there, 78 point rating, which is the 6th best of any wide receiver as far as the left wideout. So Jamar Chase, big game versus Detroit. Give me 7 catches, 115 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I'm giving you lines.
really upset that I don't get to take Chase Claypool here, but it's okay.
You could take Oh, no, you can't take Juju.
No. Hey, what the hell's your problem?
Sorry.
What was that?
You take James Washington if you want him.
Yeah, maybe I'll just take a number 1 like the Welsh did here. I'll take Jacoby Myers. I'll take Jacoby Myers. I swear to God, all I did was pair him with Mac Jones. That's all I did.
That's good.
Well, okay. Next
because
round.
I have Mac Jones as my sleeper. I'm sorry. I did not look at it. I did not mean to. I'll take Jacoby Myers as my sleeper wide receiver because I'm going to pair him up with Mac Jones. I said Mac Jones from playing from behind. We know that New England is more than willing to completely abandon the run. I think Damian Harris is going to be rough this week against Dallas. So I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers as my surprise wide receiver 1. And I'll go real fast and try to clap the Welsh here. My surprise wide receiver 2, Laviska. Look, 1 catch for 52 yards last week. Most coaches, I'm relying on Urban Meyer, so this is harsh, but most coaches will see we have to get the ball into this guy's hands more after a weird game where they lost. So the dicey thing is relying on Urban Meyer, who says he doesn't micromanage the game, which is exactly his job to micromanage the game. But I feel like we got to see like a reverse or a wildcat or something with Laviska to get the damn ball in his hands. If Lawrence isn't going to do it, they have to find a way. They got to screen him something because the dude makes plays. So Laviska's out there. I'm going to go with him. So hopefully I filibustered enough time for the Welsh to pick his second.
The one thing I wanted to point out on Jacoby Myers, because I had another take on it. I mean, Dallas giving it the 4th most fantasy points to wide receivers. And my bold claim, Jacoby Myers scores a touchdown this week. Finally.
Nice.
After years and years, my claim
doesn't count if he
scores
throws it, right? He's got to catch it.
He's got to catch it. He's going to catch a receiving touchdown, mark it, and come back here at a later time. I'm going to pivot. He was my surprise wide receiver 2 this week. I'm going to pivot off and actually just pair him with my top quarterback. Manuel Sanders seems to be a serious target for Josh Allen. Manuel Sanders is being ranked as like a low end, maybe to mid wide receiver 3. Caught 2 touchdowns last week. Defense. That's not going to change the defense's focus on focusing on Diggs. Plus, Knox is a bigger problem. It is going to lead to more Emmanuel Sanders. So, surprise wide receiver 2 is me.
Hold on. One more thing about Jacoby Myers, because everyone's going to say Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs has given up the most receiving yards in the NFL. So he plays the ball really well.
And he's going to give up a touchdown this week.
But he has been getting torched by wide receivers. So he ain't Jalen Ramsey. Let's just say that.
All right. Surprise wide receiver 2, Mr. Dan Harris, for week 6 is whom?
Yeah, Laviska was my guy as well. Way to be, guys.
Yeah, there we go.
Whatever. I hate you. Take Chase Claypool. I will go with Jalen Waddle, who, again, did not really disappointed, man. I mean, with Devontae Parker out, I figured there'd be passing all the time. It just wasn't good. I don't know if Tua is going to come back. I know he was activated from IR and he's got 21 days, but everybody's very excited about him. But the bottom line is, if you can pick on Jacksonville, you do, because they are terrible. They are last in defensive DVOA against the pass. And there's going to be a big game for Waddle at some point. He's too talented. He still saw 6 targets in this last game. So, again, Laviska would be my guy in that same game. But I will go with Waddle here, regardless of if Tua plays. I think the big game is coming eventually.
I'm going to go back to the well a little bit. I'm going to pick on the worst pass yards defense in the league, which is Tampa Bay. And I'm going to go with Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor did not get his targets in week 4. He's still been up there. He's got as much as 8. I think Devontae Smith is going to be a little bit more of the focus. Actually, kind of like Zach Ertz in this one as well. But one of the worst pass defenses, Hurts is going to be playing from behind. Reagor gets open. The problem is just they're not creative. But as a sleeper wide receiver this week, go up against one of the worst pass defenses as far as yards go in the league and hope Jalen Reagor can maybe snag in, 5 or 6 balls and maybe we'll sneak in a touchdown as well. Bogman, it's
hold on. Did you skip Dan's sleeper?
You did. You did, actually.
Man.
Yeah, you skipped me. I gave 1. Don't I get 2?
Clicking off.
Damn it.
I knew it. Man, he's taking Thursday nights. Yeah. He's out of the whole entire podcast.
Did you want Reagor? Reagor?
No, I don't care who did. Whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, fine.
Well, let's go, Dan.
I have Jalen Reagor's name tattooed on my arm, but that's fine. I can go with somebody else.
Prove it.
All right, fine. You called my bluff.
All right, I'm
so
sorry.
this is deep. This is like the deep deep sleeper? Is that
Mariana
where we are?
Trench?
here?
Mariana Trench?
Yeah, see? Well, she learned stuff.
References.
See?
I got it.
I like
for this
it.
podcast.
Do we go? Is that what we're doing? Like,
Yeah.
Sleeper ass wide receiver.
As long
that
as
you're
it's
gonna put
not
in.
mine. I'm
Okay.
really fearful it's mine.
Yeah, don't pick.
I will go somewhere else if it's not. I was gonna go with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That is mine.
Is that yours? Okay.
I swear to God, I was about to do the Amash Mosh Mate Schmown. Don't pick him. You straight up pick Bogmans. That is the funniest
It's fine.
thing.
It's fine. But explain
No,
Amon-Ra
please
St.
go.
Brown.
No,
I'll find somebody else.
No, it's
You
amazing.
go ahead, because I didn't even. Frankly, I didn't even realize that
He didn't even want it.
So I was just like,
it's more
looking-
hurtful that you didn't even want it, Dan.
Correct. I was just saying, nah, whatever. I'll go with whatever. It doesn't matter to me. You can take him. I'll take somebody else. If you explain Amon-Ra St. Brown while I look
All right.
up somebody else,
Okay.
you can have him. Go
Look,
ahead.
He's the number one in Detroit now.
Yeah.
We've seen Hawkinson be terrible, right?
Yeah.
For the last couple weeks, we saw your boy Quintez Cephas go on IR with a broken
Yeah.
collarbone. He's
Yeah.
done for the year, and they have to pass. They have to. They aren't doing anything well on defense, so they're gonna have to pass the ball. Amon-Ra St. Brown's gonna be the guy to catch it. And Cincinnati, you have Trey Wayne's down. The whole secondary's banged up right now. They're going to have to go point for point against Cincinnati. So I think Amon-Ra St. Brown sees a lot of targets this week.
That was good. All right, Dan, you get to end it. We skipped you both times. You got skipped over twice.
It's the worst. This is the worst day of my life. I'll go with McCole Hardman, who's in the same range. I mean, he had a pretty,
Huge game.
big day here. He led the team in receptions and yards, and everybody wants Josh Gordon, but maybe that motivated Hardman. What do we know? Also, Tyreek Hill's a little banged up here in this game. There's just going to be a massive amount of points in this game. I don't like relying on Hardman from a season-long perspective because he's too inconsistent, but I think we could be seeing, at least for a short stretch here, a couple of giant games. Not as great as Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously, the best pick, but I will take Hardman as my deeper sleeper.
Dan Harris 80 on the Twitters. On a serious note for a second, we want to talk about it at the top here, but how are you holding up, man? Because everybody, I don't want anybody to think we weren't going to talk about it, but like the devastation is still out there from losing tags, and I hope everybody got to, properly, and I know I've seen it. I've actually seen some pretty cool stuff of Tags was in a league that he's was undefeated and was still going, and
yeah,
a lot of support out there.
I'm in that league, by the way, just to be clear. Like,
you're in that league, okay.
We set it to like auto populate his lineup with the best decisions and stuff like that, and he's just dominating the whole
amazing.
league. It's the best. It's the best.
That is absolutely incredible. Actually, that is really, really amazing. I love that you guys have been sharing that. I hope you continue to do it more, because I don't think I know enough details about it, but I'd love to see more. But it was a rough time for everybody. No, outside of obviously the family, but from like the industry perspective for you guys. So, how are you doing with everything? I don't want to not talk about it because we all miss Tags. I know you guys desperately do, and especially that you're in the heart of what was his passion. You're in the heart of the season. We're week 6 right now, so I know it's got to be tough, but you guys have been plugging away.
Yeah, it's been incredibly difficult, really. I mean, he was more than obviously a coworker. You work in a setting, remotely, you don't see everybody. I only met Tags in person one time, which sounds ludicrous because I've been texting his wife, a lot, Tabby. We're pretty close now. And just about how like he and I sort of considered each other best friends, despite the fact that we had met once. We are all sort of hanging in there okay. And in the end, because it's fantasy football, because it's what he loved so much, because he was so passionate about it, every time like I start to sort of just be like, oh man, can't do it. Like I kind of push through. I hear him talking to me, be like, dude, you need the rankings, like get the rankings up, like finish this sort of thing. So in that sense, it's been oddly comforting. You feel like you're almost sort of talking to him in that sense, but it's been tough. It's going to be tough. And I think really it's probably once we get through the entire season, when we take the step back, we'll really be able to fully just process just how incredibly devastating it is. But for now, we're still, putting one foot in front of the other, doing all right.
And doing a good job of keeping the memory alive. And I think there's a lot of things, your guys' platform can maybe kind of continue to do that. I don't know if you guys have probably talked about in different ways. And,
yes,
it's great. I would imagine, seeing the draft grades of, people going to save those emails of getting draft grades from Tags. And there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do in there. But you guys did a fantastic job in everything. Class act from top to bottom, and an incredible incredible amount of support from the industry for Tabby and the family, which was like it bonkers to see and deserve it. And, you know, like from a horrible thing to everybody collectively getting together was a cool thing to see. Cool thing to see of everybody just grouping together and having one positive voice over something that's like pretty traumatic.
Yeah, and Tabby was so incredibly overwhelmed and appreciative, and it went to his reach, and he wasn't just a great fantasy football analyst. He was a great person, and everybody loved him, and everybody who interacted with him loved him. So the support has been so wonderful to see.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for continuing everything that you're doing, not stopping a beat, and also honoring the memory of it. So we salute you, my friend. We also love you dearly. Bogman gets all your attention. I don't get enough of it. I do miss you and hope to do more with you. Always in the future. Dan Harris, 80. Goodbye, my friend. We love you. Good night now.